The rival. The training hall buzzed with energy. Cadets from across the galaxy sparred under the sharp eyes of their commanders. Blades clashed, fists struck, and the air was filled with grunts of effort. Among them, Kyla moved with new determination. Her strikes were sharper, her stance stronger. She was not perfect, but she no longer hid in the shadows. Daniel's encouragement gave her courage, and the other cadets could see it, but not everyone was pleased. Across the hall stood Varrock, one of the strongest alien cadets. His species towered over others, built for war. He had noticed the change in Kayla, and he hated it. To him, Kayla was weak, unworthy. Worse, she had caught the attention of a human, and that made her dangerous. Varrock narrowed his eyes as he watched Kayla train with Daniel. The human corrected her stance, steadying her arms, guiding her footwork. Kayla smiled faintly, something rare and precious. That smile made Varrock's jaw tighten. Later, during drills, Varrock stepped forward. "I will spar with her," he growled, pointing at Kayla. His voice carried across the hall. The other cadets turned, some whispering. Kayla froze, her heart racing. She knew what this meant. Varrock wanted to humiliate her. Daniel stood up immediately. "Pick someone else," he said firmly. Varrock sneered. "Why? Is the human afraid his little friend will break?" The hall went silent. Every eye turned to see what would happen. Kayla's hands trembled, but she raised her chin. "I accept." Daniel spun to her. "Kayla," but she shook her head. "If I run now, they will always see me as nothing." Her voice was soft but steady. The sparring ring was cleared. Kayla and Varrock faced each other. The alien towered over her, his shoulders wide, his claws sharp. Kayla's knees felt weak, but she remembered Daniel's words. "You're not broken. Prove them wrong." The whistle blew. Varrock charged. His strikes were heavy, each one forcing Kayla back. She dodged, barely keeping her balance. Gasps rose from the crowd as Varrock's claws sliced the air close to her skin. Daniel's fists clenched at the edge of the ring. "Come on, Kayla. You can do this," he muttered. Kayla focused. She remembered the drills, Daniel's voice correcting her stance. She ducked low, spun, and struck at Varrock's side. Her hit was weak against his armor-like skin, but it made him stumble half a step. The cadets gasped. Kayla had landed a blow. Varrock roared, furious. He struck harder, faster, his attacks wild with anger. Kayla's arms burned, her chest screamed for air, but she refused to fall. Every second she stayed on her feet was a victory. Finally, Varrock swung too hard, his claws slicing through the air. Kayla ducked and slid beneath his strike, rolling to his back. She struck his leg with all her strength. Varrock stumbled, crashing, to one knee. The hall erupted in shocked voices. Kayla stood, breathing hard, sweat dripping down her face. She didn't defeat him, but she had not lost either, and for the first time, she felt strong. The commander stepped forward, raising a hand. "Enough." His voice echoed with authority. He looked at Kayla, his expression unreadable. Then he nodded once. "You did not fall." Kayla's chest swelled with pride. For the first time, someone acknowledged her strength. But Varrock's eyes burned with hatred. As he rose, his gaze locked on Daniel. He saw the human clap for Kayla, saw the small smile that passed between them, and in that moment Varrock's anger turned into something darker. Later that night, Kayla sat with Daniel under the stars again. She was tired, but her heart was light. "You? See?" Daniel said with a grin. "You stood against him. You're stronger than you think." Kayla lowered her gaze, her smile small but real. "Only because you believed in me." Daniel shook his head. "No, Kayla. Because you believed in yourself." But far away, in the shadows of the academy, Varrock whispered to his fellow cadets. His voice was low, filled with venom. "She will regret this. Both of them will." The seeds of rivalry had been planted, and soon Kayla and Daniel would face not just loneliness but danger. Shadows of revenge. The academy was quiet that night. Most cadets slept in their quarters, exhausted after a long day of training. But in the far corners of the barracks, whispers spread. Varrock leaned close to two other cadets, his sharp teeth glinting under the dim lights. She embarrassed me. A weakling dared to touch me in front of everyone. And the human, he made her believe she is strong. His voice dripped with venom. One cadet shifted nervously. The commanders will punish you if you harm her. Varrock's eyes narrowed. I won't harm her. Not directly. But I will break her spirit. I will show her that the human cannot protect her. The others nodded reluctantly. They knew Varrock's temper, and they feared him more than the commanders. The next morning, training drills were announced. The cadets were to enter the trial arena, a massive artificial zone designed to test survival skills. It was filled with dense forests, rivers, and wild creatures. Daniel glanced at Kayla as they prepared. Stay close to me, all right? The arena can be rough. Kayla nodded, though she tried to appear brave. Her heart raced, but she did not want Daniel to see her fear. When the gates opened, the cadets rushed inside. The sky above shimmered with holographic suns, and the forest stretched endlessly ahead. For a while, Kayla and Daniel worked well together. They climbed cliffs, crossed rivers, and fought small training drones that attacked without warning. With Sao, every step Kayla grew more confident, but Varrock was watching. From the shadows he followed them, his eyes gleaming. At a hidden console, he activated a restricted zone, one not meant for training. The trees shifted and a warning flashed across the arena's system. Unauthorized creatures released. Daniel stopped in his tracks. That's not part of the drill, he muttered. The ground trembled. From the forest came a roar that shook the leaves. A beast emerged, massive, with armored scales and glowing eyes. Its claws dug into the earth as it snarled, searching for prey. Kayla's face went pale. That's a hunter beast. They don't belong here. They're too dangerous. Daniel pulled her behind a rock. Stay low. His heart pounded, but his mind raced. He had seen dangerous creatures before, but this one was different. It was bred for killing. The beast sniffed the air, its gaze locking on the two of them. With a deafening roar, it charged. Daniel pushed Kayla aside just as the beast's claws smashed into the ground where they had stood. Dirt and stone exploded upward. Run! Daniel shouted. They sprinted through the forest, weaving between trees. The beast tore through the trunks like they were paper. Kayla stumbled, nearly falling, but Daniel caught her arm, pulling her forward. Behind them, the cadets watching from safe zones gasped. Some cheered, thinking it was part of the trial. Only a few realized the truth, that this was far too dangerous. Varrock smirked from his hidden perch. Let's see if your human can save you now. At last, Daniel stopped. They couldn't keep running. The beast was too fast. He turned to Kayla, his eyes sharp. Kayla, listen. Remember your training. This thing is bigger, stronger, but not smarter. We need to use the terrain. Kayla's breath shook. We'll die. No. Daniel's voice cut through her fear. We fight smart. Trust me. The beast charged again. Daniel grabbed a broken branch, jamming it into the creature's path. It shattered like glass against its scales, but it gave Kayla enough time to climb a ledge. From above, she spotted a cluster of heavy rocks. Daniel, if we can bring them down. He followed her gaze, nodding. Together, they scrambled up the ledge as the beast clawed after them. At the top, Daniel shoved his shoulder against the unstable rocks. They wobbled but didn't fall. Kayla, help me. She hesitated only a moment before pressing her weight beside him. The rock shifted, then tumbled down. The avalanche crashed onto the beast, pinning its legs and crushing part of its armored body. It roared, thrashing wildly, but it could not break free. Silence fell over the arena. Daniel and Kayla stood side by side, panting, sweat dripping down their faces. Slowly, Kayla turned to him. For the first time, she smiled without fear. We did it, Daniel grinned, clapping her shoulder. Told you. Smarter, not stronger. But far away, Varrok's smirk faded. He had expected the beast to destroy them. Instead, it only made Kayla shine brighter. Now, others were whispering about her bravery, about the human who stood with her. Varrok clenched his fists. "This isn't over," he hissed. And deep in his heart, Daniel knew it too. The arena was only the beginning. The real danger was not the beast they had just defeated. It was the hatred growing in the shadows. The final stand, the academy buzzed with whispers after the arena trial. Cadets spoke of the beast, of how Daniel and Kayla had stood against it together. For the first time, Kayla was not spoken of as the quiet, weak girl in the corner. She was spoken of as brave, but not everyone admired her. Varrok sat alone, his fists clenched tight. Every word of praise for Kayla felt like fire burning his pride. He could not accept it. In his mind, Kayla had stolen honor that belonged to him. And worse, she had done it with the help of a human. That night, when the academy lights dimmed and the halls grew quiet, Varrok made his move. He sent a false alert to the command center, luring Daniel and Kayla into one of the old combat arenas. Daniel frowned when the signal reached them. Strange. The commanders don't usually call cadets at this hour. Kayla hesitated. Something in her chest told her this wasn't right. But Daniel's steady look gave her courage. "If it's danger, we'll face it together," he said. So they went. The arena doors closed behind them with a loud clang. The lights flickered on, revealing the wide circle of sand and steel. At the far end, Varrok stepped into the light, armed, with a training blade. "You should have stayed in the shadows, Kayla," he growled. "This place is for warriors, not weaklings hiding behind humans." Kayla froze, her heart pounding. Daniel stepped forward, placing himself between her and Varrok. "If you have a problem, take it up with me. She doesn't owe you anything." Varrok's eyes burned with fury. "Then I'll crush you both, and when I'm done, no one will even remember her name." With a roar, he charged. The clash began. Varrok swung his blade with raw power, sparks flying as Daniel blocked with his own. The sound of steel rang through the arena, echoing like thunder. Daniel was fast, but Varrok was brutal. Each strike pushed him back a little further. "Stay down, human," Varrok snarled. Daniel gritted his teeth. "Not a chance," he countered, his blade slicing close enough to graze Varrok's armor. But then, with a sudden strike, Varrok knocked Daniel to the ground. The blade clattered out of his hand. Kayla gasped. "Daniel!" Varrok turned toward her, his eyes like fire. "Now watch, weakling. This is your protector? Crawling in the dirt?" Daniel struggled, but his strength was fading. For a moment, Kayla stood frozen. All her life she had been silent, letting others decide her fate. But not anymore. She picked up Daniel's fallen blade. Her hands trembled, but her eyes locked on Varrok. "No, I won't hide anymore." Varrok laughed. "You? Fight me?" But Kayla didn't answer. She stepped forward, blade raised. Her first strike was clumsy, but it forced Varrok to turn. Daniel used that moment to grab Varrok's leg, pulling him off balance. Kayla saw her chance. She moved faster than she ever thought she could, slashing the blade across Varrok's arm. Sparks flew as his armor cracked. His roar shook the arena. "You dare?" Kayla's voice rose strong and clear. "Yes, I dare. I am not weak, and I am not alone." She swung again, and this time her strike had power. The blade rang as it hit Varrok's chest plate, sending him stumbling backward. Daniel rose to his feet beside her, battered but unbroken. "Together?" he asked. Kayla nodded. Together. The fight became 2 against 1. Varrok tried to overwhelm them with brute strength, but Daniel's tactics and Kayla's newfound courage balanced the scales. At last, Kayla spotted an opening. She feinted left, then struck low, knocking Varrok to his knees. Daniel pressed forward, his blade at Varrok's throat. Breathing hard, Daniel said, "It's over." Varrok's rage twisted into disbelief. Beaten by a weakling and a human, Kayla lowered her blade but held her ground. "Not weak. Not anymore." Varrok glared. But he knew the fight was lost. The arena doors opened, and commanders entered, drawn by the sounds of battle. They had seen everything on the monitors. One of them, tall and stern, looked at Kayla. You showed bravery and strength. Tonight, you proved yourself a warrior. Kayla's chest rose with pride. For the first time she believed the words. Daniel smiled at her, his voice soft. Told you just needed a reason to fight. Kayla looked at him, her eyes shimmering. For so long she had felt alone, invisible. But now, with him beside her, she wasn't afraid anymore. She gave him a small smile, one filled with warmth and hope. And you gave me that reason. The story of that night spread quickly across the academy. Some whispered about the human who stood against a beast and a rival. Others spoke of the alien girl who had found her courage at last. But to Daniel and Kayla, none of that mattered. What mattered was simple. They had faced fear, they had faced hate, and they had won. Together. The rumors spread. The next day, the colony was buzzing. The story had already spread far beyond the schoolyard. Children whispered it in the halls. Workers murmured it in the streets. Traders repeated it at the market. The silent girl spoke. The words traveled like fire. No one believed it at first. Her people, the quiet kind, were known across the colony. They were watchers, listeners, beings who never raised their voices. Some said they had no tongues. Others said they had no words at all. But now the rumor said a single human boy had changed that. When the girl walked into the schoolyard that morning, she felt the stares. Dozens of eyes followed her. Some wide with curiosity. Some sharp with doubt. Some mocking, as always. Her steps slowed. She wanted to turn back. She wanted to hide. But then she saw him, the human boy. He was waiting in their corner, ball in hand, smile on his face, like yesterday, like always. Her chest eased. For a moment she forgot the eyes. She forgot the whispers. She walked toward him. The boy dropped the ball between them. Ready? He asked. Her lips trembled. She wanted to answer. She wanted to say yes. But the weight of all those stares pressed down on her. She only nodded. The boy kicked the ball softly. She tapped it back. Back and forth they went, dust rising under their feet. But the silence around them wasn't empty. It was full. The other children didn't laugh this time. They didn't ignore her. They watched, waiting to hear if she would speak again. Minutes passed. Sweat dripped down her forehead. Her chest tightened. Every time the ball came to her, she felt the pressure. She wanted to hide, but she couldn't. And then finally she whispered, "Yes." The word was small, almost lost in the noise of the yard, but it was there, and every child heard it. Gasps echoed, wings fluttered, claws scraped the ground. She did it again. "It's true. This isn't possible." The girl froze. Her cheeks burned. Her hands shook. But the boy smiled wider. "See? That's not so hard." By the end of the day, the rumor had grown even bigger. She speaks to him. Only him. Maybe humans have a secret power. Or maybe she is not like the others of her kind. The whispers spread through the colony's streets. Even adults talked about it. A trader muttered, "If the quiet kind can speak, then everything we know is wrong." A guard grumbled, "Or maybe the human is dangerous." A teacher shook her head. "It changes nothing. She will be silent again tomorrow." But none of them could stop talking about it. That night, the girl sat alone in her small room. Her people's home was quiet, as always. No voices, no laughter, only silence. Her mother glanced at her once, expression unreadable. Her father didn't look at her at all. That was their way, always silence. But the girl's chest burned. She touched her lips, remembering the sound of her own voice, remembering the boy's smile when he heard it. For the first time, she wondered, had she broken her people's rule? Had she done something wrong? Or had she done something right? Her heart whispered the answer. Right. The next morning, things grew worse. When she arrived at school, the insectoid boy blocked her path. His sharp legs clicked against the ground as he sneered. "You think you're special now?" he hissed. "Speaking words like a human? Your kind has no place here." Other children gathered around, eyes hungry for drama. Her chest tightened. She wanted to shrink back, but then the human boy stepped forward. He was smaller, weaker, but he didn't back down. "She has more place here than you," he said firmly. The insectoid boy laughed. "And who are you to say that, human?" The human didn't answer with words. He kicked the ball forward. It rolled past the insectoid's legs and stopped between the girl and him. "She's my friend," the boy said. "That's enough." The crowd went silent. Friend. It was such a simple word, but it struck like lightning. The girl's eyes widened. No one had ever called her that. Not once in her life. Her chest filled with something new. Not just courage, not just hope, something stronger. She stepped forward, her voice trembling but real. "He is my friend too." The gasps were louder this time. 2 words, clear as the sky. The insectoid boy stepped back, eyes wide. He didn't know what to say. None of them did. The human boy smiled at her. The girl smiled back, and the crowd watched in silence as the impossible happened again. The quiet girl of the colony was no longer silent, and deep inside she knew this was only the beginning of something greater. A secret shared. The training grounds were busy again. Alien cadets practiced drills, their strange voices echoing across the wide hall. Humans sparred with them, their movements sharp and focused. Yet among all the noise, Kayla and Daniel moved like they were in their own world. The alien girl had changed in the past few weeks. She still kept to herself, but now her eyes carried a quiet light. Whenever Daniel stood near, the weight of loneliness seemed to lift from her shoulders. But Kayla also carried a secret, something she had never told anyone, not even Daniel. And every day as she watched him smile so easily, she wondered if she should. That evening, after training, Kayla and Daniel sat near the edge of the academy's garden. The stars above shimmered like diamonds, cold and endless. Daniel leaned back on the stone bench, arms folded behind his head. "You were fast today," he said with a grin. "Almost made me lose my balance." Kayla's lips curved into a faint smile. "Almost," she replied softly. Her voice was quiet, but Daniel always listened carefully, as if her words mattered more than the galaxy itself. Silence stretched between them. For Daniel it was peaceful, for Kayla it was heavy. The secret burned inside her, pressing to escape. Finally she turned to him, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. "Daniel, do you ever feel broken?" she asked. He sat up, his smile fading into thought. "Broken? Sure. Everyone does sometimes, but why do you ask?" Kayla looked away, her alien eyes glowing faintly in the starlight. "Because I am. Not just inside. My people, they see me as a mistake." Daniel frowned. "A mistake?" She nodded slowly. "When I was born, something went wrong. My body is weaker than the others of my kind. I cannot run as fast. I cannot fight as strong. The elders call me incomplete. That is why no one chooses me. That is why I sit alone." Her voice cracked on the last word, and she quickly lowered her head. She had never told anyone this. Shame had followed her since birth. Daniel sat in silence for a moment. Then, without hesitation, he reached out and placed his hand gently on hers. "You're not broken," he said firmly. "And you're not a mistake. You're Kayla. That's enough." Kayla's chest tightened. No one had ever spoken to her like that before, not even her own family. She blinked fast, trying to stop the tears that threatened to fall. "But you don't understand," she whispered. "If I cannot prove myself, if I cannot win honor, then I will always be nothing in their eyes." Daniel leaned closer, his gaze steady. "Then prove them wrong. Not with their rules, but with your own strength. The kind they don't see, the kind I see. Kayla looked up, meeting his eyes. His words pierced through her fear like light through darkness. For the first time, she felt hope. That night, Kayla made a decision. If Daniel believed in her, then maybe she could believe in herself too. She would train harder. She would rise, not for the elders, not for her people, but for herself. But deep inside, she also felt a shadow of fear, because secrets had a way of spreading. And if the Academy discovered the truth of her weakness, she might lose everything, her place, her honor, even her chance to stay by Daniel's side. The next morning, she pushed her body harder than ever during drills. Sweat ran down her pale skin. Her chest heaved with each breath, but she refused to stop. Daniel watched from across the field, his smile proud and encouraging. Others began to notice too. Whispers spread among the alien cadets. The lonely girl, the one they had ignored, was no longer sitting quietly in the shadows. She was standing, she was fighting, and with every passing day, Kayla felt the secret she had once hidden becoming less of a curse and more of a fire that Daniel had lit. But neither of them knew that eyes were watching. Eyes that did not like seeing a human and an alien girl grow close. Eyes filled with envy and danger. The secret was only the beginning. The lonely girl. The colony's schoolyard was full of noise. Children from many alien races were running, laughing, and shouting as they played their favorite games. The sun of the strange world shone bright across the playground, casting long shadows of tails, wings, and claws. But in one corner, far from the others, stood a girl. She was different. Her skin carried soft gray patterns that marked her as one of the quiet species. Her large eyes shimmered faintly blue, like water under moonlight. Her body was thin, fragile-looking, and her movements always small, almost invisible. She never joined the games. Every day she came to the schoolyard. Every day she stood in the same corner. She watched, listened, and stayed silent. The other children did not notice her. Or maybe they chose not to. Some whispered about her when she passed. Some laughed at her silence. But most ignored her, as if she didn't exist. And so she lived in her world of silence, but silence can be heavy. She wanted to play. She wanted to laugh. She wanted to belong. Deep inside, her heart screamed for someone to notice. But no one did. Not until he arrived. The human boy was new to the colony. His family had come from far across the stars, one of the few human settlers in this place. He was younger than most, small in size compared to the reptilian and insectoid children around him, but there was something bright in his eyes. He was curious, brave, different. From the first day, he noticed her. He saw how she stood alone. He saw how her eyes followed every game, every ball kicked, every laugh shared. He saw how her fingers curled tightly, as if she wanted to reach out, but didn't dare. For 3 days, he watched her in silence. He wanted to speak, but didn't know how. He wondered why no one talked to her. Was she dangerous? Was she strange? But the more he watched, the more he felt the answer was simple. She was lonely. On the 4th day, he made his choice. The boy walked across the yard. His small boots stepped over the dust, leaving little trails as he approached her corner. The alien girl noticed. Her wide eyes blinked and she turned her head away, thinking he would pass. But he didn't. He stopped in front of her. For a moment he said nothing. She kept her eyes down, her chest tight, afraid of what would come. Maybe he would laugh. Maybe he would ask why she was always alone. Instead, his voice was calm. "Do you want to play?" The words hung in the air, like thunder. She froze. Her heart beat faster. No one had ever asked her that before. Not once. Not in all her years here. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to run forward, to feel the ground under her feet as she joined the game. But fear pulled her back. If she spoke, maybe he would laugh. If she joined, maybe they would push her away again. So, she stayed silent. But the boy did not leave. He stood there waiting. His eyes were kind, his smile small but warm. The sound of other children laughing echoed in the distance, but he did not care. His attention was only on her. 1 second passed, then another, then another. Still he waited. Finally, she looked up at him, and in that moment something shifted. The silence between them was not heavy anymore. It was fragile, like glass, waiting to break. She felt it, the chance to step out of her corner, to break the chain of loneliness. But still, she did not speak. Her throat ached with words she could not release. The boy seemed to understand. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ball. It was simple, a round toy humans often used in games. He placed it gently on the ground between them. "You don't have to talk," he said softly. "Just kick it back." Her eyes widened. It was such a simple thing, such a small thing, and yet it felt enormous. She looked at the ball, then at him. His face held no judgment, only patience. Her foot moved, slow, uncertain. She tapped the ball. It rolled across the ground, stopping at his feet. The boy smiled. "See?" he said. "That's playing." For the first time in her life, she felt something bloom inside her chest. Not laughter yet, not joy, but the spark of both, the spark of hope. The human picked up the ball and kicked it back gently. It rolled to her toes. She tapped it again, this time with a little more strength. Back and forth they played. No words were spoken, yet everything was said. Across the yard, other children noticed. Some stared, some frowned, some whispered. Why was a human playing with her? Why waste time on the quiet girl? But the boy ignored them, and for the first time, the girl ignored them too. In that corner of the yard, 2 children, 1 human, 1 alien, shared something greater than any game, and though she did not know it yet, this was the beginning of everything. The first word, the... Next day, the schoolyard looked the same. Crowded, noisy, alive with laughter. Alien children ran across the dust, chasing balls, climbing, shouting in different voices. But something had changed. In the corner, the alien girl stood again, her gray-patterned skin catching the soft light. She expected another day of silence, another day of watching but not joining, another day of loneliness. Except now she remembered the ball. She remembered the boy's voice. "You don't have to talk, just kick it back." Her chest tightened as the memory returned. It had felt different, strange, good. And as she stood there, she wondered, would he come back? The human boy did. She saw him step through the crowd, his small boots kicking dust as he walked straight toward her. He carried the same ball in his hands. His face had the same quiet smile. Her heart skipped. He stopped in front of her, just like before. No big words, no laughter, just the same question, soft and simple. "Want to play again?" She didn't answer. Her throat still locked the words inside. But when he dropped the ball between them, she didn't freeze this time. She tapped it back. The boy grinned. "That's yes." And just like that, they played again. The ball rolled back and forth. Soft taps at first, then stronger kicks. Dust rose in little clouds each time. She felt her body moving, her chest lighter than before. She wasn't just standing. She wasn't just watching. She was part of something, and it felt amazing. But the world was not kind. Across the yard, whispers grew louder. Alien children pointed. Some laughed. Others shook their heads. One tall insectoid boy sneered. "Look at her, the quiet freak. And the human plays with her?" Another with scaled skin hissed, "He doesn't know. Her people don't speak. They don't belong." The words stung her even though they weren't said directly. Her foot faltered on the ball, her chest filled with shame. She looked down, ready to step back into her corner. But then the boy spoke again. "Don't listen to them," he said softly. His eyes stayed on her, not on the others. "They don't matter." The words struck deeper than any insult. No one had ever defended her. No one had ever said she mattered. Her chest tightened. For a moment she thought she might cry, but instead, something else rose. Courage. She kicked the ball harder, sending it rolling fast across the dust. The boy laughed, chasing after it. She felt her lips twitch upward. Not a full smile yet, but close. The game grew. She kicked harder, he ran faster. The ball bounced between them again and again, and for the first time she laughed inside, though the sound didn't escape her lips. The other children stared, confused. A human and the silent alien, playing like friends. The whispers turned to silence. And then, something happened. The ball rolled too far. It bounced against a rock, skidded sideways, and stopped near her feet. She bent to pick it up. The boy jogged over, smiling. Nice kick. Her hands shook as she held the ball. Her lips parted. Her throat ached. The word fought its way out. Thanks. Her voice was small, broken, rough, as if unused for years. The boy froze. His eyes widened. She gasped and looked away, ashamed. Had she ruined it? Was her voice strange? Would he laugh? But then, the boy smiled the biggest smile she had ever seen. "You spoke," he said, his voice bright with excitement. "You really spoke." Her chest burned, half with fear, half with relief. I try." The boy's grin didn't fade. "That's amazing. You don't have to be quiet anymore." For the first time, her lips curved, a small smile, fragile but real. Across the yard, the silence of the other children broke into murmurs. Shocked whispers spread fast. She spoke? No one from her kind ever speaks. It's impossible. Eyes turned toward them full, of confusion, curiosity, even fear. The girl felt them all pressing down on her. She wanted to shrink back, to hide again. But then she saw the boy, his bright eyes, his fearless grin. And for once, she didn't step back. The ball dropped between them again. "Let's play more," he said, as if nothing else mattered. And maybe it didn't. Because in that corner of the yard, a human boy and an alien girl had broken the silence with one word, and it was only the beginning.